Good morning from New Mexico, the Pecos Wilderness, Lake Katherine, the supposed highest alpine lake in New Mexico. You might hear a little slowness in my voice. The altitude is pretty high especially for an East Texan. And just paint the picture here, this lake is not gigantic, but it's definitely big enough. I would say probably 4 to 5 acres, maybe in size, possibly a little bit bigger. Just trying to make an estimate. Can't really see the whole thing from where I'm sitting right now, but what a beautiful view. There's a ring of mountains all the way around me. Part of the Sangre de Cristo range in the southern Rocky Mountains, which extend into northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. Immediately in front of me is a peak called Santa Fe Baldy, so called because the very top of it is bald. And it's looking back at me, kind of saying to me, what are you doing in my, kind of like Shrek, what are you doing in my swamp? But that's the beauty about wilderness. If you don't know about the Wilderness Act, definitely need to look that up and Google that. It started in the 60s, and I'm missing a beat on when exactly in the 60s it started. But I believe it was in the early 60s. What they started to do is look at these areas that were very remote and largely untouched by man, set those aside for people like myself to enjoy. Mechanized equipment was banned from that area. You could come in by horse or pack animals, or by foot, hiking, backpacking in. But no mountain bikes, no motorized vehicles were allowed, just to keep that pristine feel that maybe our ancient ancestors felt, whether we're coming from an Anglo stock or Hispanic stock or Native American, whatever. These areas are here for us to enjoy. The Pecos Wilderness is ginormous. It is, I believe, around 230,000 acres, which I believe is bigger than the entire state park lands, or pretty much most of the state park lands, in the state of Texas. Now, Texas is a gigantic state. Unfortunately, Texas being a republic before it was a state, there was a lot of private land ownership. I don't know if you can hear these birds chirping, but they're really setting the mood here. Because there is nothing out here other than I can hear water flowing from a little creek I had to cross to get over to where I'm sitting. But as I reach 50 episodes on my podcast, if you're listening, I really appreciate that. And I thought I would do a special edition, live and direct, at least at the time I'm recording this, from Lake Katherine, New Mexico, because this is just a fantastic place, y'all. I know on podcast you can't see it. I will have a video in the future on my YouTube channel, and I will link to that. It may be out by the time I release this podcast. It may not be out for another couple of weeks. It just depends on my workload for editing and that kind of stuff. But these wilderness areas are just really fantastic to visit if you get a chance to do it. If you're in the good health and you are experienced, this was definitely a challenge to get up here. I used Onyx Backcountry. I'll drop a link to that in the description down there to get where I am. And it said initially it was 4 miles, but it turned out to be more like about 8 miles one way. And when you're at altitude and you're not used to that exactly, I did fine. I was just very slow going. Made my way and pretty much went till I was exhausted. Didn't quite make it to Lake Katherine in one hit, but I was going to go ahead and continue on as I go through, because I didn't want to miss this. This is a huge accomplishment for me, because this is my 50th podcast episode, for one, but also this is the most difficult so far trek or backpacking trip. I have done Eagle Rock Loop last year in Arkansas, and it's a lot longer. There is still a lot of elevation, even though you're in the Ouachita Mountains, which the highest point in the Ouachita Mountains is like Rich Mountain. It's only 2,600 feet. which is a lot different than being at 11,000 something feet, which is what I'm at right now. I don't know. Words can't really describe it. And since it's a podcast, you really can't see it, but I'm just trying to paint a picture of just how fantastic this is that I'm sitting here today at almost 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It'd be 10 a.m. back home time, back in East Texas Central Time. And just being able to sit here and enjoy this view is really just amazing. I know I've said that a couple of times already, but it's just very amazing and immaculate opportunity that I've been able to get. I don't know if that's the right word, immaculate, but we're going to go with it. But to get up here, you are hiking up a lot of the ways, which the nice thing about that is going back out, I would be mostly going down. So that'll make the trip a little bit easier, a little bit shorter. I did start a little bit later than I wanted to. Started at about 12:30 Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time yesterday, and ended up stopping after I did take several breaks. I took probably a half a dozen breaks for lunch and bathroom breaks, snacks, just to rest, etc. But overall, it wasn't overall that difficult. There were sections that were very difficult, but I pushed through. So I think backpacking and hiking and stuff like that can reflect a lot, and other type of outdoor adventures can reflect a lot on life. Sometimes we do things outside of our comfort zone. We do things outside of what we feel like we're capable of. And there were several times yesterday, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to quit. I wanted to turn around. I'm so glad I did not, though, because this is such a lovely reward for all that hard work in hiking or backpacking up here to this little basin where I can see all these lovely things here. I will be posting pictures, of course, to my Instagram and then my TikTok. If you look at my social links in the description, you will see some links to those, so you can check out short videos and photos from my trip. And not only just being in Santa Fe in general, because we're here until Saturday. Me and my mom are here. She's staying down at an Airbnb just outside of town, close to the airport. And I think she's having a good time. And she was perfectly happy with me driving the car up here. We did scout it out on Monday, see how hard of a drive it was to go up. And it turns out it was a good climb. Only 15 miles to go to the Santa Fe ski area where the trailhead is, but it takes about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic and depending on conditions, to get up, and probably about the same to get down. Definitely looking forward to a warm shower and a nice hot meal. I was so tired last night I didn't even eat. I was cowboy camping. I just laid out my sheet of Tyvek, inflated my Climate insulated static V-pad, put my quilt on top of it, crawled in there, and went to sleep. Only got to get up one time. That's the only time I was cold for a brief minute. I had to get up to go to the bathroom one time. Just number one, luckily. But I was uncovered, and it was a little chilly. I think it got down to the mid-40s, which is that's so hard for me to believe, being from Texas, because in August, that's some of the hottest times in pretty much throughout Texas. It's in the 90s or the hundreds. And here it's almost no humidity and a large amount cooler daylight temperatures. I think it's going to get to 55 today. It did rain on me yesterday a little bit, just a constant drizzle all the way to about 2/3 of the journey. Then it stopped, and then the sun came out. The clouds rolled away, and it was just a lovely day. But anyway, I think I'm coming to the end of my special edition that I wanted to record from here, because it's just a special place in general, but it's a special place for me now because I've been here, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So I guess for now, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to be putting out more stuff, of course. Hope you will listen. I appreciate your time and listening. If you have any questions, comments, etc., please check the statistics or the podcast page on Buzzsprout. I believe that's where it's at. To drop me an email. Let me know how you're liking the podcast, or some topics you want me to cover, or just have questions or comments or whatever. Love to hear from you. And hope you're having a great summer August 2022, whenever I record this. For now, the Natural Medic Adventures signing off and going back on the trail. Later, y'all.